Hi, this is Extinctube. Before I upload the rest of the text, or the disproving of her lies, or showing how often she lies, which I'm doing mostly for me, because, well, for legal reasons, and also for, I don't expect anyone else to care or be at all invested in it. Certainly not the people she considers her supporters. This is a bolognese sauce I made. It's got many vegetables in it, and it's just cooking now, but simmering. But I am making it for tomorrow. So, okay. I wanted to make a point, I suppose. Jesus, as soon as I start videoing, I am so nervous. I should have sat down on a bar stool. I am always amazed at NoodleMash's communication technique, I guess you'd say, style. She tends to control a narrative or what people say, or she'll yell she'll yell, prove it, and when she's proven things, of course she hasn't proven a single thing, and I addressed that already. Night. Let's see if he stops. He's at the front door, so maybe he sees a cat, in which case he will not stop. They're also waiting for their dinner. Oh, you did stop. You did very good. Good boy. Good boy. So she controls conversations. She's very dominant in style. And one thing that's so interesting is when it would come to being accountable for something or admitting something, she ignores people. And it's funny, the reason she attacked me, well, it's one of the reasons. I didn't know at the time, but the reason at the time that I knew about why she attacked me, in the first post I made or comment I made on one of her videos, was because I ignored one question she had. And the reason I did that is her dominant style. She said she was very nice and polite or whatever. She wasn't. And it was very dry and very, dominant. And so I just didn't answer. Well, you can't ignore NoodleMash. NoodleMash ignores people all the time. Now, I have made some posts recently questioning Mrs. P being a racist on Facebook. And the reason I've done that is we know that Noodle's holy grail is racism. It comes even before the LGB alphabet, virtue signaling. So racism is a very important thing to her. She raises her voice. She's very heated. And although, why is Tiffany sitting in her chat? I don't know. A number. Oh, and by the way, she made a big stink the last video to say she doesn't want anybody, even crying, I don't want anybody making fun of Mrs. P. There was a person in the chat with an image as their avatar of Mrs. P that was making fun of her. So, yeah, you might want to look at that, people. I'm sure she'll erase it before, because she is a dirty deleter. So she came after me first, and yeah, I have spoken about it. Those who don't know are, yeah, you may ask. No, I haven't put up the receipts. I am not the receipt queen. I don't have any aspirations to become a receipt queen. But I do have information on that first, the first time I commented to her, and what she did thereafter, which she has probably dirty deleted. So I don't know if I could find it from one who has videos, or had she dirty deleted prior to that? It's hard to say. So she doesn't take accountability, and she doesn't like people asking her to do things, prove things, whatever. I had asked about Mrs. P being racist on Facebook, and NoodleMash had, after all this time, a picture of Mrs. P's door in the complex when they both lived there. So I am sure, because of her intensity about racism, that NoodleMash has the receipts for Mrs. P being racist on Facebook. What I want to know, and what I have asked her, and she has ignored, is I want to know when exactly that was. Because if it wasn't when they were living together, and it certainly wasn't once NoodleMash stalked Mrs. P to this community, then it was after Mrs. P had moved, which would show that NoodleMash was stalking Mrs. P after she had moved. And no, they were not friends when she left. They were not friends when NoodleMash came here. Those are lies. I have shown them in my spoken videos. I've shown them out of her own mouth. So I am asking for NoodleMash to provide the receipts of Mrs. P's racism. I highly advise her to not adulterate those images, screenshots, because it's easily proven if it's adulterated. And that's not the word. What's the word? Adulterated? I don't know. My brain's not working. Edited. We'll say that. And the dates should be there because, well, she's the receipt queen, and racism matters more to her than anything. I also am asking her whether she reported Mrs. P to Facebook. I think we can assume she did. It's not a far reach of an assumption. So did you, NoodleMash, report Mrs. P to Facebook? And are you responsible for her Facebook account being taken down? So 3 questions. I want you to prove, to show, okay? And I want people to share this. Please share this, just so that she can't ignore. Did she do it when Mrs. P had already moved? That would tell us quite a bit, don't you think? It tells me something. Okay? It tells me the level of obsession she has had with MP, just as the door picture does, and that she still has it also tells that she really has had an obsession with Mrs. P since the second day Mrs. P moved in. And I had that. I was making a meme and I lost it. And yeah, that's a shame. That would be NoodleMash's comment on the second day after she moved in, and how angry NoodleMash was with Mrs. P. Yeah, so that was just the beginning of the obsession. And so here's what we want. We want NoodleMash to provide the receipts of MP being racist on Facebook. She has spoken about it so many times, brings it up. You know, it's a really big deal. Well, prove it. Prove it. Show your receipts. I'd almost swear you would have the receipts. I can't imagine why you would not. And don't edit them in any way, because I can tell easily. And we want to know when that was, and if you reported her to Facebook. This is out of your own mouth. And are you responsible for getting her banned off of Facebook? That's it. Please share. Don't let her off the hook. because her communication skills are very sneaky. Very, very sneaky. And I don't appreciate that at all. So she's always making demands, and, you know, just so she can use me for content, for money. Just like the demand of proof that I needed to prove or show the receipts of the judge cautioning her, which she did. And she proved it today. But she got very mad when I asked her to show it. And yeah, that's because it never had to do with being cautioned. It had to do with playing dictionary. It had to do with semantics. It had to do with her needing an excuse to abuse me for content, for profit. All right. I hope people hold her to this. Those who care, anyway. Thank you. Bye.